It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. Israel tells Sky News there's no truth in claims from more than 100 aid agencies of mass starvation in Gaza.
There is no famine in Gaza. There is a famine of the truth.
The Chief Constable of Essex tells Nigel Farage he will not resign over the policing of a protest at a hotel housing asylum seekers. Families of victims of the Idaho murderer face him in court as he is jailed for killing 4 students.
I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer.
Also tonight, Sky News goes inside a hospital struggling to cope with the victims and survivors of sectarian violence in Syria. 2 former city traders jailed over one of the biggest scandals of the financial crisis have their convictions overturned. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. More than 100 aid agencies and human rights groups have warned of mass starvation in Gaza, saying supplies of food are now totally depleted. They say large amounts of food, clean water and medical supplies are sitting untouched at the border, but Israeli restrictions are creating chaos, starvation and death. The Israeli government told Sky News today that there is no famine in Gaza and that Hamas is responsible for hoarding humanitarian supplies. A warning that this report from Sky's Lisa Holland contains images you may find distressing.
Inside one of Gaza's barely functioning hospitals, where doctors say they're fighting to save the lives of malnourished children, even in the darkness as power supplies fail. The arm is being measured of a painfully thin baby called Ode. We've been told he is an orphan. Nobody knows what happened to his parents, just that he was discovered in a shelter.
Doctors said he might die because of severe lack of nutrition, and it would be a miracle if he survived. You can see the bones in his back and his heart beating. Now they've given him supplements and milk.
This child has cerebral palsy. Now his mother says her son's problems are compounded by the shortage of food and medicine. And it's not only the children fighting for survival.
Everyone is suffering from lack of nutrition, even the doctors. We are tired and we are struggling to work. It's hard to keep going through the day. We only have a small amount of medicine and supplements left for the children.
This baby is just acute severe malnutrition.
Other doctors in Gaza have posted images of children they're treating. They say baby Sela was born healthy 11 months ago and now weighs 3.5 kilograms.
Low calorie intake. The mother is malnourished. She's unable to give breastfeeding. And also the artificial milk wasn't available for the baby to be given. And this is a case of severe acute malnutrition.
The World Health Organization has said a large proportion of the population in Gaza is starving, with human rights groups demanding a resolution to the war of words over who should bear responsibility for the breakdown in aid.
This is what history will remember, that while food and medicine sat in trucks miles away in warehouses, the world chose politics over people and human beings, and that children were starving while leaders debated whether they were starving or not in the first place.
After the UN claimed Israel was preventing aid crossing into Gaza, the Israeli army released this drone footage claiming to show humanitarian aid supplies on the Gaza side of the border waiting to be distributed to Palestinians.
There is no famine in Gaza. There is a famine of the truth, and Israel will not stop telling it. 87 million meals, 1.8 million tons of aid, which we've facilitated, aid getting in. Hamas loots, it starves its own people, and the world looks away.
One thing is clear. Alongside the aid crisis, the conflict is raging on. In Gaza City, a mother in a hospital bed facing the unimaginable act of her children being brought to her to say goodbye in the aftermath of continuing airstrikes by Israel in its war with Hamas. Lisa Holland, Sky News, Jerusalem.
The Israel and US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which has the job of distributing aid across the Strip, has come under intense scrutiny. The UN has called its aid sites death traps. The Israeli news network Channel 12 conducted an interview with a former security worker with the GHF, whose name they protected. He alleges that excessive force is being used against civilians at the aid points.
As the Palestinians were finishing getting the aid that was on the site, the UG Solutions personnel began shooting in their direction, shooting at them, shooting at their feet, shooting into the berms to get them to leave.
Well, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation has responded directly to those comments. It said this is a disgruntled former contractor who was terminated for misconduct a month ago. GHF launched an immediate investigation as soon as these allegations were brought to our attention. Based on time-stamped video footage and witness statements, we have concluded that the claims made are categorically false. The Chief Constable of Essex has rejected a call to resign from the Reform UK leader Nigel Farage over the policing of a protest outside a hotel housing asylum seekers. Ben Julian Harrington insisted claims his officers had bussed counter-demonstrators to the protest in Epping were categorically wrong. Our national correspondent Tom Parmenter reports now from Epping.
There's no doubt in Tracy's mind. As long as there's an asylum hotel in Epping, she'll turn up to protest. Have the government got a grip on this?
Definitely not. They're going to see a lot more happening, I'm telling you now. Because you can't just shift the problem to another area. You've got to deal with it. And that's what they're doing this. You know? So watch this space.
Many of the demonstrations have been peaceful, but it got out of hand last Thursday evening.
A lot of people that day were angry. You know, my son's even actually in court, going to court, because he shook the Bell Hotel sign, you know, and they're trying to do him for criminal damage. It was shaken by about 30 people before, and it was shaken by about 30 people afterwards.
And this is just going to go on, is it, do you think?
It will go on until it stops, yeah, 100%.
When will it stop?
You know, when they get moved out.
I don't think an angry mob outside somewhere where people are staying within our community is the right way to go about it. They could be demonstrating outside the Home Office, but so yeah, I don't agree with it at all.
Last Thursday, Essex Police did walk with counter-protesters towards the demo and later took them away in police vans. Online critics and Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform, say the police officers' actions caused the violence, something the Chief Constable vehemently denies.
There's been some accusation in the media that we drove people to the protest. That is not true. We have not driven anybody to that protest. People made their own way there. And of course, one of the accusations and one of the things circulated is we did take people away for their safety, for the safety of everyone there, because it was the best operational thing to do to prevent violence, to diffuse the situation. We drove them away from a violent confrontation.
The spark here in Epping was the sexual assault of a local schoolgirl. The man who was charged had recently arrived on a small boat. The community has told us they've seen a spike in crime recently, which has fueled their concerns. And you find these kinds of tensions in communities across the UK. It's why Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, has raised the issue in Cabinet. There is a political unease around what happens next.
Yvette Cooper is waving things through. Rachel Reeves is not providing the money. I'm not surprised Angela Rayner is saying the social fabric is fraying, but she needs to do something about it.
The government says it is working to close down asylum hotels, but it could be 2029 until that happens. In places like Epping, that feels unsustainable. The country can't wait 4 years for this to be resolved. Tom Parmenter, Sky News, Essex.
Well, let's go live to Westminster and speak to our chief political correspondent, John Craig. John, this is an issue that's becoming increasingly politicized.
And it's become a real serious row between the political parties over the past 24 hours or so. The real anger has been triggered by that claim by Nigel Farage. He posted a video and said this video proves Essex police is transported left-wing protesters to the Bell Hotel in Epping. There's no way Chief Constable Harrington can stay in position. Now, he has been criticised mostly by the Conservatives for those comments, but also the severity of the situation in Epping has been graphically illustrated and described by the current MP for Epping Forest, that's Neil Hudson, and Mr Farage has been attacked by the former MP, Eleanor Lang, a former Commons Deputy Speaker. Now on Sky News, Mr Hudson told Trevor Phillips on the Politics Hub, "I have a tinderbox community. I've got very distressed residents. We've had church services cancelled. We've had businesses closing early and people feeling like they're being barricaded in their own homes." And speaking in the House of Lords, the Commons may have risen, but the Lords are sitting again today and tomorrow. Baroness Eleanor Lang hit out at misinformation. She said the considerable amount of misinformation being spread by a particular political party is unfortunate and working against community cohesion. And she called for politicians to stop inciting violence, as she said, to call for calm and think of the vulnerable people whom we should be protecting. So also Angela Rayner's comments were backed by Kemi Badenoch and by James Cleverly, the new Shadow Housing Secretary. Kemi Badenoch said, "Do something about it." James Cleverly said, well, we've been warning. She's echoing Tory warnings. So all the political parties have really jumped into this debate, a blame game going on and calls for calm, but calm is one thing that seems to be missing.
John Craig with the latest there from Westminster. John, thank you. A man who killed 4 university students in their home in the U.S. state of Idaho has been sentenced to life without parole. Brian Kohberger initially denied carrying out the killings, but later pleaded guilty as part of a deal to avoid the death penalty. The court heard from friends and relatives of the victims who spoke of the devastating impact that the murders had on them. Sky's David Blevins reports.
What he did shattered me in places I didn't know could break.
Maddie was my only child that I ever had.
We are done being victims.
With unbearable grief and unbearable anger, they confronted a killer.
The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you.
Madison Mogan, Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez and Xana Kernodle were stabbed in their beds. The 2 surviving housemates, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, finally breaking their silence. Bethany's words read by a friend.
I hope that they are remembered for who they are, not what happened to them, because who they are were so beautiful, and they deserve to be remembered in the highest way.
He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil.
The murders of the 4 students in Moscow, Idaho, stunned America, sparking a social media frenzy and nationwide manhunt.
Be seated, thank you.
It led to Brian Kohberger, a student of criminology, linked to the scene by mobile phone data and DNA evidence. He showed no emotion, but even the judge was moved to tears as families delivered victim impact statements.
I'm here today to tell you I have forgiven you because I no longer could live with that hate in my heart.
Disappointments like you thrive on pain, on fear, and on the illusion of power. And I won't feed your beast. Instead, I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer.
There's no place for you in heaven.
You took our children. You are gonna suffer, man. I'm shaking because I want to reach out to you, but I hope you feel my energy, okay? Go to hell.
Prosecutors were seeking the death penalty until Koberger changed his plea to guilty. He's never revealed his motive.
All right, Mr. Koberger, you have an opportunity to make a statement if you wish to. I take it you are declining.
I respectfully decline.
Given consecutive life sentences without parole on all 4 counts of first-degree murder, he'll die behind bars, leaving families and friends with one unanswered question. Why? David Blevins, Sky News.
Sky News has gone on the front line of the bloodshed in Syria, inside a hospital struggling to cope with the survivors caught up in the crossfire of the country's latest violence. On the wards of Suweda city's main medical facility, the badly injured lie waiting for desperately needed treatment. Outside, rows of body bags lie on the ground, many still unidentified as families search for news about their loved ones. Our special correspondent Alex Crawford travelled to the site to meet some of those whose lives have been changed forever by the complex tribal and political turmoil. A warning that her report contains distressing images of body bags from the start, as well as people with severe injuries.
They're still picking up bodies from the garden of the main hospital in Suweda. The evidence of the brutal bloodletting the city suffered is laid out in the hospital's backyard. Very few of the body bags have the blue letters identifying who the victims are, but there are more than 90 corpses here. They haven't been able to bury them because of the fierce fighting around here. The smell of death is overpowering, and most here working at the hospital are volunteers. The hospital's mostly in darkness, powered now by a small generator. And there's more evidence of battles inside as well as out. Grenades were detonated here by fighters who took up positions inside the hospital, killing patients as well as at least 2 doctors. The hospital is packed with casualties, treated in dirty conditions with few medicines.
I think you can smell the bad thing from the wound, and it's a very big problem, that because all the thing and all the work that we have worked in the operation rooms is dying right here.
These are the civilian victims caught up in a complex tribal, ethnic and political war, the worst in Syria since the toppling of the country's dictator. And they have horrifying tales of the violent clashes which went on for more than 4 days. Among the victims, a 21-year-old, 9 months pregnant with her first baby when shot.
Shot here, from here to here.
It went through both legs?
Both legs. Both legs.
Both Hajja's legs are shattered, and she needs operations impossible in these conditions. The trauma here is acute, and few have escaped it. The medics battled to save Hajja's life, but weren't able to save her babies, a victim of this brutal outbreak of violence before even being born. The cycle of revenge attacks has led this Druze-dominated city to bunker down behind barricades after some government troops sent in as peacekeepers were then accused of joining the Arab Bedouin tribes in attacking the Druze minority. The president has promised an inquiry, but he'll need more than that to build trust. Near the hospital, Israel's intervention, which killed hundreds of troops, forcing government soldiers to pull out. That led to Druze militia revenge attacks, with several believed to be Assad regime supporters. Anarchy then followed. This was Suweda, filmed by us a few days ago, a free-for-all, with thousands of Arab fighters massing on the area, pillaging and looting mainly Druze homes and businesses. The new president blamed the Israeli attacks for pushing the country to a dangerous phase, which threatened its stability. And while a ceasefire has been brokered, it is in its infancy and fragile. The battered survivors are red raw with anger and grief.
We found 3 brothers. The twins are 14, their older sibling is 17. They were in a prayer house along with more than 20 others who were also hurt. They were trapped for 24 hours and 2 of the injured died before they got to hospital.
What did we do that they kill us as kids? From 1-year-old to 17, they're just pigs. We're just children.
Sweden has turned into a battleground of competing interests, with Israel determined to keep Syrian forces out of this area on its northern border. And one Druze faction, aligned with them, demanding autonomy from Damascus. There are also ISIS cells and Assad regime supporters still agitating, and unverified social media videos from both Druze and Arab accounts showing executions and beheadings, which is fueling unrest. Its traumatized and battered citizens are in the middle, frightened and frustrated.
We have a lot of people die. Stop that. Your countries, your village, your governments. Give this guy to Syria. Not with us. Not our revolution.
With so many injured, the new president is being blamed. Sweden was awash with multiple militia, including extremists. It's been hell, one citizen told us.
Sweden is full of these brutal fighters. They come here, they attack us, just like racial discrimination. They want just to kill the people around them, just out of the revenge.
Everywhere there is grief. This is all he had in his pocket, a mother says of her 22-year-old son. Why did he have to die?
Give me money.
The gunman threatened to shoot us if we didn't hand over money, she said.
Give me money. Give me all money. Give me money. No money. Give me no money. Done. Money and gold. Money and gold.
So many reports of terror, with Syria still emerging from more than a decade of civil war and its citizens desperate for peace. Alex Crawford, Sky News, inside Sweda city in southern Syria.
A woman and 2 children have been shot dead in a suspected domestic incident in Northern Ireland. Police found 4 people with gunshot wounds at a house in Maguire's Bridge, which is a rural area in County Fermanagh. 2 were pronounced dead at the scene, with one of the children dying later in hospital. A man was seriously injured. Our Ireland correspondent Stephen Murphy reports.
The silence of a quiet rural road in County Fermanagh was shattered by gunshots just before police arrived at this house, alerted by an emergency phone call. They discovered a scene of abject horror. 4 people, all from the same household, had been shot. A woman and a child were pronounced dead here. Later, a grim update was issued.
Sadly, I can confirm that a 3rd person has this afternoon passed away in hospital. A 4th person who was taken to hospital remains in a condition described as serious.
The 3rd fatality was also a child. Police have not yet released names or ages until all family members have been informed.
I can't begin to imagine the pain, the turmoil that they are now in. It was shocking for myself to hear this. It's been shocking for the rest of the community to hear this, and I am confident and I am sure that the community will wrap their arms around this family.
The lone survivor, an adult male, is seriously injured in a Belfast hospital where he was airlifted earlier. Police stress the investigation is at an early stage, but it's believed the deaths are being treated as a domestic incident.
The suspect has a limited footprint with police. There's a limited domestic history involving the people concerned, and that is certainly one line of inquiry that the detectives will take forward.
Police said it was a very harrowing scene for the first responders.
It's important to think of the emergency services that were first on the scene, and for my own colleagues as a nurse, those doctors and paramedics that were here and so expertly administered first aid and immediate care for those people. But they're human as well, and when they walk away, they take all of this with them. So my thoughts and thanks are with them as well.
Police here in Enniskillen have said that such a tragic event occurring in a small rural location has sent a wave of sadness throughout the local community. They've assured people of a continued police presence in the area and have appealed for patience. The investigation continues this evening, but it's not believed any other suspects are being sought. Stephen Murphy, Sky News, in Maguiresbridge, County Fermanagh.
2 city traders jailed over one of the biggest alleged scandals of the financial crisis have had their convictions quashed. Tom Hayes and Carlo Palombo had been convicted over the manipulation of the benchmark interest rate known as LIBOR. They had claimed for more than a decade that they'd been victims of a miscarriage of justice. Sky's Gurpreet Narwan reports.
Relief and jubilation, the end to a decades-long legal battle to clear their names after being vilified in the aftermath of the financial crisis.
I came out to a son who was 9 years old, who I left when he was 3. My marriage broke down whilst I was in prison. My mental health broke down whilst in prison. There was this zeitgeist that existed where they wanted to send bankers to prison, and we were unlucky.
Back in 2015, Tom Hayes was the first trader to be convicted for rigging LIBOR, an interest rate on loans and financial products that was used throughout the financial system. The rate was determined by numbers submitted daily by several large banks. Mr. Hayes was sentenced to 14 years in prison, but 8 other convictions followed, including for Carlo Palombo, who was a junior banker at Barclays. He was convicted of rigging the Euro LIBOR rate, Euribor.
There's just violence everywhere. Being treated like wild beasts by prison guards. The stuff of which I was accused and convicted was something that was done completely openly by absolutely every single person. It was just a normal business practice of the bank.
The traders maintain they did nothing wrong, that pushing for a favourable interest rate within a reasonable range was not fraudulent. In 2022, the US courts agreed. The Supreme Court judges in the UK did not get into that argument.
Today's ruling was about the legal process. The Supreme Court judges said that the convictions were unsafe because the juries in the original trials were misdirected by the judge. Essentially, they had been told that the behaviour was dishonest without being left to decide. The Supreme Court said there was plenty of evidence for the jury to consider, but the 2 men had not received a fair trial.
Now, 7 others could be next in line to have their convictions quashed. The saga has raised questions about how the courts handle technical and complex cases.
Very big lessons all relate to the fact that this looks like it was a part of a scapegoating exercise. The justice system handled it very badly. I mean, ranging from the handling of so-called expert advice right through to the clunkiness, put it mildly, of the appeal system.
For these 2 men, the ordeal has felt like a nightmare, but today was surreal. Now they face the task of rebuilding their lives. Gurpreet Narwan, Sky News.
The UN's top court says countries who fail to protect the planet from the effects of climate change may be in violation of international law. The International Court of Justice has been advising on a landmark case about nations' obligations to tackle global warming. Experts say that although the conclusions are non-binding, they could still have wide-ranging consequences. A judge in the United States has rejected a Trump administration request to unseal records relating to the pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. The U.S. government had filed a motion to unseal grand jury transcripts about the former financier who took his own life while awaiting trial in 2019. The BBC says the latest series of MasterChef will be broadcast next month, despite the sacking of both of the programme's presenters. It was filmed last year before allegations against Greg Wallace and John Turode were upheld. Well, it's been a wild ride for England's Lionesses at the Euros so far, and after another dramatic match, the defending champions have made it all the way to the final. Now, in the process, they seem to have found a new star, 19-year-old Michelle Agerman. For the second time in 2 games, the young forward helped save England from the brink of elimination. Sky's Oliver Whitfield-Miocic has been speaking to some of those who know her best.
Practicing their skills to be the football stars of the future.
And these young girls now have a new favourite forward. Michelle Adjemang's last gasp goal against Italy has kept the nation's dream alive that the Lionesses can retain their Euros title. The 19-year-old also saved England from crashing out of the tournament at the hands of Sweden. Just 4 years ago, Adjemang was a ball girl watching England beat Northern Ireland here at Wembley. Now she's the pitch-perfect super sub who's turning out to be the team saviour. Overnight, her profile has rocketed, but those who know the striker say her meteoric rise is hardly surprising.
It's not a huge surprise to see where she's at now, but the speed of which it's happened and, you know, the opposition and the competition, I should say, that she's got in amongst the England squad and around the England squad, for her to force her way in and be making such an impact is fantastic for her.
Adjemang first signed to Arsenal, aged only 6, and now plays in the Gunners' first team. Last season, she was on loan at Brighton Hove Albion, where manager Dario Vidosic knew he had a special talent.
Very quickly, very quickly. You see this X factor that she has, just power, finishing quality, 1v1 capability. She can play, in the tighter spaces, or when England also, it's a good indicator of when they've gone a bit more direct. She's just a constant threat in the box. She's got that instinct where it's like she just knows where the ball's going to be, and then she's able to just score.
Good, Rosa.
Something these players wholeheartedly agree with.
She's really fast. And even if she's stuck behind people, she can just sprint through people. I like that she's very tough and can strike the ball really well. She's super fast and she's really young as well. She's only 19.
Do you look up to her?
Yeah.
Inspiring youngsters and her teammates alike. All eyes now turn to Sunday's final to see if Magic Michelle can bring the trophy home. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, Sky News, London.
And just some breaking news coming in from Switzerland. Spain have just beaten Germany 1-0, which means that the Lionesses will face Spain in the final of the Euros on Sunday in Basel, in Switzerland. You can see the pictures there of a victorious Spain, 1-0 over Germany, which means it's England-Spain final on Sunday. Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's papers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by Daily Mirror columnist Kevin Maguire and writer and broadcaster Angela Epstein. Welcome both. Among the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of the Express. The headline, Sir Bob Geldof's new plea to the world, feed the children of Gaza. We'll be right back.